Okay, so for this video we're going to look at how you can save money with practicing. So chances are over the next few weeks or months, as you progress with learning how to make cakes, you're going to want to practice quite a bit. So I've got some examples here that can help you save some money without having to pay out for lots of ingredients. Okay, so we've got here two cakes. What's different about these cakes is they're actually fake cakes. Underneath the fondant here, we've got polystyrene cakes. So instead of the sponge, we've just got these cakes here. And you can use them to decorate cheaply. So they're usually used for things like weddings, as a cheap way of as in a bottom tier to the wedding cake, for example. Somebody might want, the effect of a multi-tier cake, and you stack your fake layers at the bottom and then put your real sponges on top to give you the height that you want without having to pay out for lots of cake. Fruit cake and sponge are going to be more expensive for a wedding cake. So by adding the fake tiers, it lowers the cost a little bit for somebody that's buying a cake. So what we're going to walk you through here is how you work with these fake bases to make a cake and how you can use that to practice. There's a few differences here. For example, we're not going to be buttercreaming around the outside. Whilst I guess you could, there's no real need to. You still get a good enough effect that you can work with and practice, and you'll see that in the next few minutes.
Okay, so here you'll see I have a fake cake polystyrene foam. So whenever somebody says to you about fake cakes, that's what they mean. I have a board. For these purposes, I've got just a standard square board. Normally I would do a heart shape. A knife for trimming off. A rolling pin. My icing and some corn flour on the side for rolling them down. And also, as you can see, I've got a stick of glue. First thing I'm going to do is take the glue. Normally I use sellotape, but for this it doesn't really matter. And all I'm going to do is, because we need to stick the polystyrene to the base obviously, I'm just going to run some glue around the base of the cake, and I'm just going to stick it on and push it in hard. So that shouldn't move. And now what I'm going to do is take my fondant, and first of all I'm going to knead it to make it pliable, because obviously it's a new batch of fondant. And all we do is just with the palm of your hand, pushing it and turning it, and it will start to, it looks like it's all cracked, but it will get there. And you just got, it's basically like kneading bread. So you've just got to carry on working it. Let's get some more corn flour. You can use icing sugar, but I prefer corn flour, or I find that it doesn't stick as much. And as you can see now, if I lift it up and move it to the camera, we have a nice even edge with no cracks. So all I'm going to do is get some more corn flour, just dust it on, get my icing sugar with my hands obviously because they've got corn flour on them. I'm just going to rub a bit over the icing at the top, and then I'm just going to try and push it down just a little bit so I've got that shape. So just move that out of the way for a little minute. Now I'm just going to roll, turn it together, always clean the rolling pin, roll, turn, roll and turn. Roll and turn. And then normally what I do is I'll show you for measuring to make sure it all the icing will fit onto the cake, is I normally get my board and I just line it up, I just size it up, I just place it on top. So I know that's going to fit, I know that's going to cover all the way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a little pastry brush and some cold water, nothing more, no, tap water, perfectly fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush this water all over the polystyrene, and I'll just do that quickly. So we go all over the polystyrene, and it's obviously because we're not using butter icing on this at the moment. On fake cakes you don't need to. Just to give it a little bit of, help it stick, just a little bit of water. And it should stick. Okay, and then now all we do is with our rolling pin again, making sure it's clean, lift up our icing, take our cake and then just lay it over the top. And you'll find when you do fake cakes, they're easier, a lot easier to work with, to mould, to do everything with. I think it's because they're more solid and stuff like that. I don't really know why, but I do find them easy to work with. And then as we do, we just, like I just did there, I rub the tops down, making sure it's all nice, all covered, no cracks. And just, with my finger, I'm just going to push so I get the heart shape just there. Rub it down, and then you can start smoothing with this part of your hand. I find this the easiest, not with fingertips, but this part here. You just want to start rubbing and moving it around, rubbing and moving it. If you find that you've got a bit of a pleat like that, just pull it out, and then you can just start rubbing it back round. Down and around until it all gets covered in. And I am going to, just on this bit, move it, and just here I will use my finger, as obviously we want to get a nice edge. So down, and around, and then you can see here I've got a bit of that. Now people do use tools to help them rub down. I don't like them for some reason. I can't get on with them, so I always use my hands. And I've never had a complaint. So, and then, now what I'm going to show you is, with my knife, I'm just going to cut off the excess here. Now what I do is I always make a little incision, and I never do the whole cake in one go. I always do it in pieces. So I take my knife with my little incision there, and I just, on a slant, I just gently glide. I don't actually cut, I don't put any pressure on the knife, I just gently glide it around and then just take it down. And you see it's come right now. I never put any pressure on the knife. No cutting motion, no pressure at all. And I'm just going to do the same on the other side. So from here again, let's turn it around a little bit so you can actually see. So from here, I'm just going to cut it around again. And like I said, I'm not putting any pressure on the knife. I'm just going to take it off. And then again, from here, where my finger is, I'm just going to take it and glide it round. Like I said, no pressure, just glide it. And I always like to leave a little gap up here, because you can always use your craft knife to cut it a little bit more thinner if you've got a little bit of excess icing around the sides. Right. This is the way I do it. Okay, so as you can see, it's all come off now. We've got our board and our cake's all covered. So now what I'm going to do is with my finger, or with the side of my finger, I'm just going to rub along, and I can see there now that this bit is a little bit long. So I'm going to take that and just cut it off. And I'm just going to turn it in, like so, and just keep going around. Now obviously you can, if you find that it's not a very neat edge, you can cover it with balls, and there's loads of ways and tips on how to get a very good edge if your edge isn't good. So don't worry, it's perfectly fine. So my fingers are a little bit sticky from the water, so I'm just going to rub, trying to get rid of all the creases. On there. Or you could put a ribbon round it or do some decorative stuff. And there you have one heart-shaped covered cake.